All right. Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Good afternoon also to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, also co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And thanks so much for joining us wherever you are watching from. If you're taking a look at the title, you'll know that we are live at AwesomeCon 2024, which we will dive into in terms of the details if you're not familiar. But as you well know, every single Saturday we try to give you the rundowns of the goings on in the entertainment industry, give you the spark notes, if you will, in the show known only as This Week in Pop Culture. Now, as always, or I should say, most typically, I'm not alone in talking about the goings on here in the entertainment industry across the board. No, we didn't have him here last week. He wasn't feeling well, but happy to have him back. I want to welcome back Mr. Spillman Trueheart, aka Spills. What's going on, man?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing? I'm sorry. I know you were sad I wasn't here last week. The norovirus got me, ladies and gentlemen. That norovirus is nothing to mess with. I feel
Nah,
5 pounds lighter. As you can see, my face looks much slimmer because I had a problem. But I'm back. I'm live. I'm ready to go. So we're here live at Awesome Con. So, we've got lots
yes,
of great stories in store for you. So
for sure,
let's get
for
it.
sure. Let's get it. All right. So, the first story that I want to dive into is, of course, around the creator of Dragon Ball. That's none other than Akira Toriyama. As I said, creator of Dragon Ball died at 68. Yesterday, news broke via his manga and design production company, Bird Studio and Capsule Corporation, that Tokyo, stating that the cause of death, or say his cause of death, was acute subdural hematoma. And I apologize if I'm butchering, the name of that condition, but apparently it's a condition in which blood collects between the skull and the brain. Now, it goes without saying, the impact that Akira has had with Dragon Ball. I can think of so many different shows, so many different artists in the entertainment that he has had an influence, that he has had an impact on. Spillman, what are your thoughts?
Oh, a giant of literature. I've heard a lot of people point to the fact that Akira Toriyama is almost a Stan Lee of manga. He, you know, like the Wu Tang said, he birthed so many styles, so many people. Um, the way that manga is received in the states and abroad, other countries too. I've seen they said that our Mexican brothers and sisters are the saddest of us all because Univision and those networks had Dragon Ball Z dubs longer before than we did. So the fact that just a giant of the creative word, the fact that he could take. Um, a story like Into the East and adapt it into what became Dragon Ball is crazy. Most people don't really know that it was originally Into the East, the ancient Chinese story, kind of like a Don Quixote type story that he adapted into Dragon Ball. And, just to be that creative, so many things that happened in Dragon Ball over the years influenced everything. If you're a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, even you're influenced by Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. So just the impact on the culture. Dragon Ball, all time great show. It's just it's undeniable the impact he's had on the culture. I saw a guy walking around here dressed up like Vegeta in the Cell Saga. He had the Badman shirt on. I was like, all right, I see you. So just sad, man.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Huge impact, and I wanted to be able to put this up. As I was discussing it, this is the original post that was put up. As I was mentioning before, and just to read through it, and again, you can find this over on social media on the Dragon Ball official page. It says, "Dear friends and partners, we are deeply saddened to inform you that manga creator Akira Toriyama passed away on March 1st due to acute subdural hematoma. A hematoma. He was in the age of 68. It is our deep regret that He still had several works in the middle of creation with great enthusiasm. Also, he would have had many more things to achieve. Um, just to talk further about what it says here. However, it says he had left many manga titles and works of art to this world. Thanks to the support of so many people around the world, he has been able to continue his creative activities over 45 years. We hope that Akira Toriyama's unique world of creation continues to be loved by everyone for a long time to come. We inform you this sad news, this with gratefulness for your kindness during his lifetime. Funeral service was held with his family and very few relatives. Following his wishes for tranquility, we respectfully inform you that we would not accept flowers, condolence gifts, visiting, offerings, and others. Also, we ask you to refrain from conducting interviews with his family. Future plan for commemorative gathering is not decided. We will let you know when it is confirmed. We deeply thank you for your understanding and support as always. Now, um, and just talking about the overall impact of Akira, as I was mentioning before, just thinking across social media, not social media, excuse me, across media, across pop culture. If we're talking about the television series, the animated series, I grew up on the animated series from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, and that was my foothold. That was my introduction into manga, into anime. I didn't really, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really dive into much else outside of Dragon Ball. And I know for a lot of people, that's kind of like their gateway into anime. But just to talk about just like all the different tropes, and I mean, a lot of times I'll make fun of it every once in a while because of the fact that they are tropes where we'll have sagas that go on for on and on and on. I mean, if we're talking about like manga that really dives into like just that idea of like trash talking, like we had characters trash talking for like episodes upon episodes. You have if we're watching on TV, all y'all that grew up on Dragon Ball Z, we would have the villain and our hero trash talking each other for 5 straight episodes, talking going back and forth. And I'm like, bro, can we just fight? But at the end of the day, I did appreciate it, even though there was some semblance of humor that a lot of times we get into of how long they the a lot of these fights are dragged out. But just to talk about just the action in and of itself, there you can see the influence across other media, whether it's films. If we're talking about our Matrix films, you can't deny a lot of that stuff that we have in the Matrix. They can thank a huge part of a lot of that influence from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. I mean, I don't know how you can look past what is it, the Matrix Revolutions and that fight between him and Smith. That is straight out of Dragon Ball Z. I'm sorry. Like I know a lot of people like, oh wow, I've never seen a fight like this before. That's basically how Dragon Ball Z was, where they're fighting in the air, they're fighting through buildings, all types of stuff. Straight Dragon Ball. Same goes for even like the most recent Creed movie. Um, Michael B. Jordan has gone on record, about how anime has influenced how he approached the fighting in Creed 3. And you can see it in a lot of like the slow mo and the symbolism that he brings into play, that he brought in that final fight between Creed and our antagonist. So yeah, as I said, it's a shame that he is gone. um but yeah, like the influence that he had is undeniable. Do you have any last words before we get into our last story, or say our next story? I'm about to say our last story. Gosh, I'm already getting to the end,
Oh yeah,
y'all. But
yeah.
go
He's
ahead.
trying to get us out of here, ladies and gentlemen. But not just Creed. Another Michael B. Jordan movie that was heavily influenced by Dragon Ball was Black Panther. If you look at like the fight
Yes.
between Killmonger and Black Panther, even the outfit that Killmonger was wearing was inspired by a Vegeta outfit. Like that, it's so much stuff that Dragon Ball inspired. Obviously, like I said earlier, we talk about even Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is based on a lot of Dragon Ball stuff, with the Chaos Emeralds mirroring the Dragon Balls, and being able to grant superpowers with when you collect all seven. Um, Even my favorite anime right now, One Piece, that is heavily influenced by Dragon Ball. The main character, Monkey D. Luffy, is very much in the same vein of Goku. So to me, it's an all-world anime. It's sad, us anime fans. We hear you say that you didn't really deep dive into the anime after that. We kind of shake our heads at you and wish that you would come on with us. Come on, it's great shows. Sure, some of them are kind of drawn out, but I think that I like that the anime, and this is what really was successful with Dragon Ball is adapting the manga straight into a show instead of like doing an adaptation of the show. Even though it is adaptation of the manga, it's still basically the same thing. Like they kind of episode for episode, issue for issue, mirrored it. They might put some filler episodes in so that the anime doesn't get too far ahead, but that's how they did. And Naruto, a lot of other different shonen type animes are just Dragon Ball clones. Dragon Ball is the goat. It's just, what do you say? It's like the guy. It's like when the guy who created Superman died. It's like he birthed the whole style. It's just sad to see him go. So we could move on to the next one. I think you might be frozen. Uh, yep. So yep. Just again talking about Dragon Ball. My favorite episode probably would be the episode where, of course, Goku turns into a Super Saiyan for the first time after after Frieza deals with Krillin, who is, one of the greatest buddy sidekicks of all time. Can you hear me? Wait, I can't hear you.
Hold up.
There we go. He's back,
Let's
ladies and
see.
gentlemen. He's back now.
Okay. But no,
Okay.
I was saying there's so many components of it. If we're not just talking about like, the different sagas, the
Oh yeah.
the antagonists, the iconic antagonists, but
Oh
just
yeah.
some of like just thinking of some of the other tropes. If we're thinking about like, the idea of power levels, the idea of scouters and how that they utilize the scouters and how that became like a dramatic component where like, the scouters would explode based on how, how high power level is, or someone would kirk out because they were seeing how powerful someone was on their scouters. So
Oh yeah.
um, there's so many components of it, and then I would also say this, and I know I said at the top that that I didn't get into anime all that much. Let me be more accurate. I did get into anime. It's just not perhaps like your Naruto's or any of our others, but like Ninja Scroll, Wicked City, like a lot of the films. A lot of those films. I'm well versed in and well familiar with, but I just didn't get into a lot of the other, let me say, the other contemporaries of Dragon Ball that were on TV at that time. I think that's a
Yeah.
more accurate idea. So, but did you have any last thoughts? I feel like you summed it up as much
I think I summed it up.
the way you said.
Who was your favorite? Before we get off this, who was your favorite Dragon Ball character?
I mean, it was a toss up. As I mean, you have to pick the saga. I feel like I've had a favorite one in different parts of the show, different
Hmm.
times of the show. So like, during the Saiyan saga, and this is I'm talking about villain Vegeta now, not good guy Vegeta. Uh, Gohan was my dude. Like the
Hmm.
kid Gohan, he would kirk off, and people would like start spazzing out, like, oh my gosh, who is this kid? Um, so like I would say Gohan during the Saiyan saga. If we're talking about the Namek saga, it'd probably be Piccolo. Um, it would probably be a combination of Piccolo and Vegeta, because Vegeta had some insane moments throughout that saga where he was displaying his power, and I know a lot of people were sleeping on him because he had come up as a henchman of Frieza, and a lot of people were sleeping on him at that time. And then as you well know, when it comes to Saiyan, every single fight that they have, they get stronger after every single fight. So while just like you were saying, while all these other henchmen were like were not really fighting or battling, and they were just kind of just hanging on to Frieza's coattails or what have you. He was out there battling people, so he caught up to all of them and then some. So I would say Piccolo and Vegeta, in that saga, and then beyond that, I guess I would say Gohan again and Cell. And as we're getting into Boo, I would probably say like Kid Trunks and Kid Goten, because like I'll never forget that tournament that they had, the World Tournament, where everybody was like looking at them sideways because they were fighting better than the adults were, and they they were 7 and 8. They were crushing all the competition at their own age, and then like
Oh
when they were
yeah,
fighting the adults were like, these kids are 7 and 8.
yeah. What's going on here? What's in that water?
Right, right, right.
Uh, I would probably say my favorite would be Future Trunks. I know Future Trunks
Oh,
is
Future
like,
Trunks and Cell. Okay,
the Future
okay, yeah.
Trunks. Just that whole
Future
intro when
Trunks,
when
yeah,
he showed up,
yeah,
he had that as they say, he had that S on, like the kids say. He always was
yeah,
dripped. He
yeah.
always was dripped.
That future
Then he
that
caught
future Trunks is different.
Frieza with the ka 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 ka. Then he hit him with the laser and blew him up in like 30 seconds. And they was like, yo, Goku
Yeah,
almost
man.
died fighting him just a couple of months ago. And this kid just offed him quickly. And he's a Super Saiyan.
Right.
So, and then Vegeta was
Off,
crying because he
off the
was
break.
no break, like it's two of them now. It's like crazy. So yeah, that's me. I think
Nah,
those are
but
my
but
two.
nah. To, to speak further on what you're saying, and then I'll get to the next story, is the fact that he not only dispersed Frieza as quickly as he did, we had never seen Frieza's father up to that point. He had just gotten introduced, and he not only dispersed Frieza, but dispersed King Cold within the same episode. So like,
Same
yeah,
episode.
that his different. Yeah, Future Trunks is different for sure. But all right, getting into our next story, I wanted to dive into the news surrounding the arena. If you guys keeping tabs on it, we're talking about it not too long ago, a couple of shows ago, of just the idea of the Wizards and the Caps getting an arena in Virginia. Now, this past Wednesday, Senate Finance and Appropriations Chairman L. Louisa Lucas notified the Post, and this was a story out of the Post. She had notified the Post that sports arena language was not going to be included in the House of Delegates and Senate budget compromise coming out on Thursday. Currently, this nixes arena plans as of right now, but there are a couple of options that couple of last ditch efforts that can still be done to try to have the arena still get placed in Virginia. Now, Spillman, I know, as I said, we were talking about it before, where there was a likelihood that this would happen, but we're in a different spot now where it looks like it may not happen. What are your thoughts?
I still maintain that Ted is going to take the team to Seattle, Washington. I still maintain that. Every time an owner of a sports franchise does something like this, they try to move across the street or to a new neighborhood. And the new neighborhood obviously says, we don't want a stadium in our neighborhood. We have people that don't want to live near a stadium. That's why they live here. Um, then they don't get the funding, and then they take the team, and then they move the team to a whole different locale. That it happened it happened to the Baltimore Colts. It happened um, to the Oakland Raiders recently. It happened to the Rams recently. That's what happens when the owner says that he doesn't want to pay for the stadium that he's paying for, and also he puts out the worst possible team that he could. Because let's face it, the Wizards are the worst team in the NBA right now. They won their 10th game last night. This is the first time that they've been in double-digit wins the whole season. It's March. The season started in October. They hadn't won a game in 6 weeks or something ridiculous like that. I think that he's just holding the team hostage. He's holding the city hostage. He's pointed fingers at people as to why he can't sell tickets when he continues to put out a trash product. I hate to say that about the guys. I know the guys in the Wizards are working hard to play well, but just for him to sit and to actually try to make it that it's everyone else is the reason why the Wizards are not performing, or the because the Caps pack out, but he can't pack out the Wizards, and he's blaming it on everything else. It's not because of anything but the way that he's organized his franchise. So to me, I just, I hate to say this, but I'm prepared for the team to be gone. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we find out in 2 years the team is going to be playing in Las Vegas or Seattle. I can see that happening. Sadly, LeBron James is looking to own a franchise, and he might buy the franchise from Ted to move them to where he could be comfortably going back and forth between Vegas and Los Angeles. So we'll see. What do you think? I think you're still frozen. So, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say for sure. I wanted to see because there were some options, as I had mentioned at the top of the story. Were some options that are available in order for this to still go through. I'm trying to see if I can, locate it just quickly. And this is, some options that Governor Youngkin still has available to him, that they said that there were a couple of things that he could still do. So let me see if I can, locate that really fast. I um, just had it with me. Okay, so here we go. So the options that he has, he could call a special legislative session to consider the arena at any time. This is, going to be a costly step, that in the past, he has resisted. I know he's also gone on record that he's not really going to choose any additional alternative methods, but with what has transpired with where things stand now, he may still very well try to use the alternative options at his disposal. So we'll see what happens, but at least for all intents and purposes, right now, doesn't look too good for the Wizards or the Caps having the arena here, or say having the arena out in Virginia versus here, just a couple of blocks from here, from the convention center. For those of you that are not aware of, like, the geography here in the nation's capital, we are here at the convention center, as we had mentioned at the top of the live, and we have the arena just down the road, a couple of blocks down the road. All right. So, getting into our next story, I wanted to dive into a trailer that arrived this week, and this was for the video game adaptation known as Fallout. So this past Thursday, a new trailer made its way online for the TV series Fallout. Of course, if you guys are not familiar, with the game. It's considered one of the greatest video games of all time. If you're not aware, if you've never had a chance, unless you've been living under a rocket or not familiar with it, Fallout is a story, and this is the premise that has been provided for the television series. It is a story of have and have-nots in a world in which there's almost nothing left to have. 200 years after the apocalypse, the gentle denizens of luxury fallout shelters are forced to return to the eradicated landscape their ancestors left behind, and are shocked to discover an incredibly complex, gleefully weird, highly violent universe waiting for them. Um, this series is going to be executive produced by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, the creators of Westworld, and it stars Ella Purnell, Aaron Moden, Walton Goggins, and more. Now, the series is set to arrive on April 11th on Prime Video. Now, Spillman, you had a chance to see this trailer, and what are your thoughts, man? I have mine, but perhaps I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I'm really excited for this show. I like the Fallout games. They're very interesting. I'd like to see where they go with it. Um, I play. I feel like this is a bigger game on your console of preference than mine. I believe so. I'm not sure if it's this. I don't think this is a Xbox exclusive, but I think that it's just bigger on Xbox. But I'm into it. I'm excited to see what they do with it. I can't wait till the show comes out. I'm very into that. So I'm very interested to see like how they animate some of the weaponry, how they flesh out the world. As you know, Fallout takes place in a dystopian future, as they say. So I'm interested to see what they use with the dystopian future. So I'm pretty excited. Of the video game adaptations, there's only really been one or two that were TV shows rather than movies. And, obviously, The Last of Us just came out, and that was a very popular and successful run. So I imagine they're trying to catch that same level of ratings and wonder. I think that they'll do a good job because obviously Fallout is a great franchise. So we'll see. I think it'll be good. Welcome back. We're so happy. But it's just a good time. We're live right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're on location, so there may be times where we pop in and pop out. But just a great job by them picking that. How do you feel about it?
So my only foray into Fallout, I'm well versed. I know I was being a little snarky a little earlier about unless you've been living under a rock, you never. It's crazy if you have never had a chance to play this game. And I mean, I'm well versed in it, but the installment that I'm most familiar with is Fallout 3. That I had on the Xbox 3. I want to say it was 360. And just as the description describes with the series, the same can be said of the game. It's so weird, and considering, just as the title suggests, when you're talking about Fallout and what can happen as a result of Fallout with radiation, and how that can affect the environment, how that can affect the animals in that environment, how that can affect the people in that environment, and how that played a factor in the RPG components that you had with that game. So uh, based off of what we've seen in the trailer, it looks like they're on the right track in terms of trying to recapture kind of the weirdness of that game and the humor of that game, because I feel like the game, as violent as it is, has a very dark sense of humor. And it seems like those same beats with the humor and the weirdness in terms of like the style of the show is very much there. So um, I'm looking forward to it, but based off of like the other adaptations that we have, I'm cautiously optimistic because, like, I mean, we also have the Halo TV series too, and the Halo TV series is not all that. I mean, it's not all that great. I mean, there are components of it that I enjoy, but there are also components of it that I feel that can be captured a lot better. So time will tell. We'll see.
Yep, things are hit or miss. So we'll see. I think it should be pretty good. Obviously, people played. I'll give you this about the difference between Halo and Fallout. People played Fallout for that story. People play Halo to shoot each other. So the fact that they made a Halo show is great, but that's not why people played
Um,
it.
mm,
No.
okay. I see. Okay, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that. Halo had an incredible story, but I know a lot of people talk about the gameplay. I think things get lost in translation with the gameplay because the gameplay is good, but
Hmm.
when it comes to the story is like epic, and there's so many things that they could uh that's ripe for adaptation when we're talking about any component, where we're talking about it. Because I know at one point it was going to be a movie. Like if I
Hmm.
recall, it was at one point it was going to be a movie that involved what I believe it was Steven Spielberg and Amblin. At one point, I think at another point it was Peter Jackson, if I recall. Like it had gone through a lot of development hell in terms of how it was going to be adapted until we finally got to what we have now with the television series. And while I have no issues with it being a television series, because I feel like there's enough to uh, to adapt there, I just feel like there have been a lot of opportunities where the show has had chances to really knock it out of the park, and they have just like fallen short of it. And I've talked about this, at nauseum. Like if we're talking about just the idea, and I understand why there's a need to have the character of John um uh so front and center within the series. I don't know if you've watched a bunch of episodes, Spillman, but um they have the character of John, the character who's underneath the mask of Master Chief. They show him a lot, and that is not what Halo is. And I feel like, there are plenty of shows out there, I'm not going to name them, where you're still able to glean, the feel of the protagonist without having to resort to showing the person who's underneath the mask, or the person who's underneath the helmet. And I feel like the whole idea of Halo is to be able to vicariously put yourself into the role of Master Chief, because he's kind of, even though he is, he's an extraordinary soldier, super soldier, I think, uh, even though he has those abilities, he still kind of has to have that every person type of quality, and the way that you're able to do that is to be able to put yourself into that role, and the way that you're able to do that is by not really putting a face to the character. So while I understand that there is a need to think about the ability of that character, if you're going to do that, it has to be very minute moments throughout the run of the show. You can't have the character not have his not have a terminal or gear until like more than 50 episodes. I feel like in other shows, and again, I'm not going to name names, in other shows where they're making the character scene and they're hitting on the, it has to be a big deal when that character takes off their helmet. It can't just be a moment where you're just showing the character and they're just, you just taking away the mystique of the character by having the character out of their helmet or out of their gear most of the show. And another thing that I feel like they've been dragging the war of this of this series for far too long. At this point, maybe a lot of other people out there that agree with me. Where the flood? Like the flood should have like already appeared in the show at this point. So, yeah, there are a lot of things that show has done that I like. I like the look of the show. Um, I know we kind of got off track here talking about Halo, but I promise you I'll bring it back. I like the look of Halo. I like the actors that they have in the role. I just feel like the approach. I wish they have done approached it a little differently. And I mean, there's still a chance for them to kind of fine tune it. Even though we're in the second season, to for them to continue to fine tune it. But yeah, like I don't know how you feel about Halo, but that's why I'm cautiously optimistic
It's a
about
it's
what
a
they're doing
show
with this.
about shooting people, Brandon.
Nah,
That's the
nah,
problem. Halo's about shooting
nah,
people.
nah, nah. You got the flood, you got the covenant. Like you have so many different factions that are all at odds with each other, and if you do it the right way, it could be really epic.
It's about the
Yeah, the flood has components of the xenomorphs in it. So like, nah. I'm saying the flood have components of the xenomorphs and of like the thing. and to kind of like not even tackle, you know, that ace that you have that you can utilize and you haven't yet, that's a problem. Sorry. But again, I'm looking forward to Fallout. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Fallout too, but we can argue about Halo and what it's actually about another day at another time. So yeah.
Fair deal. Fair deal. So, as we had mentioned at the top of the show, we have Awesome Con happening this weekend. Of course, if you're not familiar, you know, with Awesome Con, yesterday marked the start of the 11th Awesome Con. It started in 2013. It's founded by Ben Penrod, of course. The convention is a celebration of geek culture, bringing over 70,000 fans together with their favorite stars from across comics, movies, television, toys, games, and much more. Currently, right now, it is run by Left Field Media. You know, the same folks behind Anime NYC, Anime Frontier, and Rose City Comic Con. Now, I have had an opportunity to go to just about every single Awesome Con. I don't know if you have, Spillman. I don't know if you went to the very
This
first
is my
Awesome
first
Con.
this is my first con actually. This is my first one.
Okay. All right.
I
Awesome.
believe
So,
this is I'm in the building.
all right, there you go. So, just to give you, I'll bring you up to speed too, because we have some history in this very space when it comes to Awesome Con. Obviously, you know they use the entire venue, but the coat room, or I guess it's not the coat room now. It's basically like the security check-in that you come in that they bring you around to. Just behind you, Spills, was the entire convention in 2013. That small little that whole crevice that we have with in which you're, you know, going through security. For those of you that have gone or have been going to Awesome Con since the first one, that was the entire show. The panels were in the little meeting rooms that are right there before you head to the halfway point of the convention center, because it has two buildings. So before you head out those doors, to your left and to your right, those little rooms there were our panel rooms. Just to give you an idea of how much it has evolved and expanded. So always, yeah, last year marked its 10-year anniversary. It's crazy to believe that it's been going for, you know, a decade or more. There have been so many shows that in that time that, you know, even locally here, that haven't been able to you know, continue onward. So it's really a testament to this show that that is, you know, continuing on the way that it has. Because I remember, for those of you that are not aware, my first Comic Con, I know you were talking about this being your first Awesome Con spill. My first con, and I threw myself right into the fire, was San Diego Comic Con. So, you know, an exciting proposition. I remember uh, 10 plus years ago to find out that we would finally have a convention of our own, because I thought, okay, this must be something that's just like special for, you know, the West Coast, something that I'll only be able to do, you know, in San Diego once a year. And now that actually have our own in my own backyard is, you know, so awesome. So, uh, Spillman, are there any things that you are keen to do with this being your first show? You know, of course I'm gonna, you know, give you a tour and show you around, but maybe there's some specific things that you're looking forward to or that you saw and you're like, I'm gonna check that out.
Right now, I'm just admiring everybody's ingenuity. I see people costuming. Some of it very clever, like I said earlier. I did just now. I saw a guy who's dressed like Indiana Han Solo Jones, so that was pretty cool. So just people are very
For
creative.
sure, for sure,
Yeah, just to see
for
everything that
sure.
they can put together.
For sure. No, they have some awesome. In terms of like the cosplay, if we're talking about in conventions that I've gone to, is Awesome Con, like they have some impressive cosplay when it comes to, you know, the, just as you said, the creativity, the mashups that you can see, just like you were talking about, where you have mashups of different, you know, IPs, different intellectual properties. So we'll see what happens. It's always cool. Excuse me, always cool to come to the show anyway because it's a reunion of sorts. When you're going to any con, there's certain cons that I only see certain people. And of course, with this being in my backyard in my hometown, it's always cool to see folks that reside here in the nation's capital with you. And then sometimes it's always cool to have people visit from elsewhere, maybe from other cons that you normally frequent, that are new to Awesome Con, coming here and experiencing Awesome Con for the first time, or maybe not their first time, maybe coming back again. And then also with some of the guests too. After doing this for 10+ years, after a while, you start seeing some familiar faces. So sometimes you're fortunate enough where a lot of those same folks recognize you, and you're able to reminisce and catch up on the goings on every single year. So yeah, like as I said, we here at the 11th Awesome Con. Um, a lot of things to still enjoy. This is day 2. It's going to conclude tomorrow. But there's still some programming that you can check out now, with in terms of panels, in terms of artists on the exhibit hall floor, and much more. So much to be able to check out. But I'm gonna leave it there. Unless Film, you had anything else to add, we
No,
can
I
wrap
think
it
I
up
think we
here.
can go to the next one.
All right, cool. We can go to the next one. Actually, this is gonna mark our end. It's like, I'm just kidding. It's not
Oh
gonna
yeah.
mark our end. But the next one that I want to get into, last but not least, talking about what we have going on. Another, little small event happening this weekend, and that is none other than the Oscars, of course. Now, if we're talking about what is going to be happening this Sunday, Tinseltown will have the biggest day of the year, as a 96 Academy Awards airs live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on ABC. Now, as we get closer to the show, there are a lot of questions to be asked. Will the expected winners win? Will there be any shutouts? Will there be any upsets? Spillman, just to make it easier, I'm going to share our screen that we have for the Oscars. And I thought it would be fun, and we're not going to go through every single one, obviously, but I thought it would be fun to go down perhaps some of the list of the nominees and some potential winners that see for the show. So let me see if I can scroll us up here, get us up to the top of the page here. Starting off at, let's see here, with our actor in the leading role. Do you have any folks that picture you're gonna win that Oscar come Sunday?
Well, we could pull for Coleman Domingo because he's one of the brothers. We want to see the brothers win. But I like Paul Giamatti, but I feel like this is Cillian Murphy's award to lose. This is the year of Barbenheimer. I think that he's kind of a shoe in. I'd want to see Coleman Domingo win, or Jeffrey Wright, but because Jeffrey's from the crib as well. Jeffrey's from the crib. But I think this is unfortunately going to be Cillian Murphy. He's going to win this one. I think. I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel pretty strongly that it's going to be him.
No. I absolutely agree with you. Bradley Cooper actually has an incredible performance in Maestro, and I feel like in any other year, he would be a favorite to win the award, because I had a chance to see that film, and a lot of times you have those instances where actors disappear in roles, and then sometimes it's hard for you to see past. You can't see past the actual actor, and that's not the case with Maestro. There are times in there where Bradley Cooper really disappears, and I'm not picturing Bradley Cooper acting. I'm picturing an actual, character there. So it's unfortunate that that nomination has come this year because, just as you said, it just seems like this is just Cillian's year. He had an incredible performance in Oppenheimer, and I can't really see anyone taking that Oscar away from him in this category. It would be awesome to see Coleman Domingo win. Um, if anyone is, I feel like is a dark horse to is a dark horses to win in this category. It would be between Coleman and Bradley. But as you said, I just don't see anyone getting past a Cillian Murphy, in this category. So moving our way down, if we're talking about actor in a supporting role, of course, we have Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. What are your thoughts, dude?
So
Go ahead.
I think that because of his character, and also this might be their last chance to give him one while he's still kicking around. I think it's going to be excuse me, or Robert De Niro. The character he plays in Killers of the Flower Moon is crazy. He's like he's a villain, but he's a villain in the way that um, a true sociopath is, in that he is one that is just a bad guy, but smiles in your face while he does it. So he really does a great thing. He doesn't really do anything really violent, but some of the worst people don't actually commit acts of violence. They do things that are outside of that kind of a realm. So I think that it's De Niro. I saw some people say that they wanted to get, maybe because this may be, I'm not sure. I think he won one for that movie, the dancing and singing movie, but Ryan Gosling may also win Best Supporting Actor because of his portrayal in as Ken in Barbie, which is pretty good. Um, I still say that
Okay.
that movie was more about Ken than it was about Barbie to me. But that might be my viewer's eye, being my viewer's eye and not knowing things. So
Okay.
we don't know.
All
But
right.
yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Well, it was a terrific point you made about Robert De Niro and that character. He was outstanding in that movie. Um, but going back to just the momentum that Oppenheimer has, and just the ensemble that we have with Oppenheimer, Robert De Niro, or say, excuse me, Robert Downey Jr. Is also outstanding in the role that he has in Oppenheimer. I do get the point that you make about Ron Gosling. However, my only thought with that is I feel like there is I feel like there is some component of regret among the Academy in terms of nominations that were not made. And while I feel like they are, recognizing the performance that was done for Barbie, I'm not sure that there are a lot of people that are going to back it in terms of Ryan receiving the award just by virtue of the fact of Margot Robbie not getting nominated. There was so much controversy, and I understand what you're saying based on how the story landed, but still at the end of the day, to be able to weave in and out of the different components of a character, whether they're components of drama, components of humor, and to be able to seamlessly capture that in one character. Margot did a outstanding job with that character, and to not have her get nominated is so glaring that I don't know. I think that might cast a shadow on Ron potentially winning. So that's why for me, I feel like I agree with you that Robert De Niro has a shot at winning in this category, but my my top uh my top pick to win that category, and it's just by virtue of just the incredible ensemble that that film has had. I feel like Robert Downey Jr. is going to walk away with the Oscar in that category.
I can see that happening. I can see that happening. But again, um, we'd also like to see Sterling K. Brown win,
Oh, undoubtedly,
um, but that's
undoubtedly,
probably not going to happen. Yeah.
undoubtedly. All right, so getting into the actress in the leading role, of course, we have Annette Bening in Nead, and I apologize if I'm butchering it. We have Lily Gladstone in Flowers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Huller in Anatomy of a Fall, Carrie Mulligan in Maestro, and Emma Stone in Poor Things. Now, I feel like in this category, just based on how difficult the role is, I already have, someone who's just like a standout among all of these performances, and that is with Emma Stone. To be able to do such a quirky and weird, character in Poor Things is not, an easy thing to be able to pull off. And I feel like she pulls it off, terrifically. I don't know what your thoughts on our spill, but that I don't have any like dark horse in this category. I have Emma taking away the award in this category. I don't feel like there is any like tight race happening here. But what are your thoughts?
I completely disagree. I think that this is Lily Gladstone's award to win. I think that Killers of the Flower Moon is one of the best movies of the year. Um, I think that the fact that they didn't get Margot Robbie for this category, I understand the controversy with it, and I think she probably should have gotten a leading actress, a lead role nod for this one. But Lily Gladstone really did good with that performance, and she also captured what was truly a really trying time and the Osage mergers, which were, a really crazy situation. So to me, I think that it's awesome that they have her nominated. I did not see the Emma Stone movie. I wish I did, but I didn't see it. But I think that Killers of the Flower Moon is the best thing going right now, and they will use that. I think that Also, I think that because they didn't nominate Margot Robbie, that they have to do something to try to make it look like they're doing something that's uplifting women. And you know, Lily Gladstone, the story in the movie was such a big thing about women's empowerment and not being used by men to steal from you in a way. So maybe that's what they're
Yeah,
doing, but yeah, I don't know.
no, I hear you, and that's a great point to make in terms of what we see a lot of times with the Academy, unfortunately. And this is no slight against any of the performers or any of the folks that are nominated, but that happens sometimes where just by virtue of feeling like they need to make up for something that we have folks that end up winning, or we'll have times where, giving you another example, a lot of times when there is a two films that are neck and neck, we see it a lot of times where the director, for best director, you may have one director win the award, and for best picture, another director will win the award because they can't really decide between two films. And the way that they kind of like settle on that, they never say this, but I theorize that this is what happens because there have been years where I feel like there are two films that are just like, one A and one B, they're just like neck and neck. And you see that where you'll have it split down the middle, where you'll have a director get best picture and then another one win best director. In that same way, there have been times where I felt that certain actors were robbed of not winning, a certain year, and 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 of course we didn't hear that from Spielman, so I'm gonna unmute you, Spiel. But what'd you say?
I said Denzel Washington.
Right, exactly. I mean, there have been instances where we've had actors that have been have been robbed in other years, and then like years later, the Academy, has them win the award. And it's not to say that the year that they win the award, they didn't earn it, but or that it's not well deserving. But among the, if we're comparing, one performance to another, one more is the prior one is far outweighs the one that they actually went it for. But because of that controversy of them being robbed in a given year, the Academy remembers that and still kind of gives them the nod that year. So, I know I can absolutely see that. I'm just basing it off of the fact that, kind of similar in the way that I explained Barbie, all the different facets of that role that Emma Stone brings to that character, it could easily be really wacky and really silly. And somehow, like, just based off of her talent, she's able to balance all the different facets that are necessary, for that character. And it's not an easy feat to pull off. So just in the technicality, the techniques that are utilized in order to fully realize that character, I have her winning. But now that you bring that, now that you mentioned, your pick, I could see that happening as well. Just based off of history of what it would mean for the history of the Oscars. So, um, moving on to our next category. As I said, we just discussed actress in a leading role. So I want to get into actress in a supporting role, and I don't feel like there's a whole bunch that has been talked about here among a lot of the nominations. But I'll go down the list. We have Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple, America Ferrera in Barbie, Jodie Foster in Niad, and Devon Joy Randolph in The Holdovers. So, Spielman, what among the performance that we have here, an actress in a supporting role, who you going with, man? Hold on, you're muted.
Okay,
Go
here we
ahead.
go. I'll probably say on this one, America Ferrera. I think that she really captured a good leading role in that. Um, I also have heard good things about Danielle Brooks's performance with The Color Purple. So maybe she might get a nod for that. I think that the Academy does do things where they would give nods to people like her in those kinds of situations. So we'll see. I'm not really sure what it will be, but I think that we might also get one from Oppenheimer. If you can put the list back up for me, can you put the list back up because I'm not seeing it. But I really think it'll probably be Danielle Brooks. I think it's probably going to be Danielle Brooks. So that's my pick. Who do you have? Okay, yeah. So just Danielle Brooks is a great actress. We all loved her on Orange is the New Black, and she's really kind of become a darling. And people seem to like all the stuff that she does. So we're really excited about seeing that. I know that it's a very interesting take because they obviously I would say that this is the year that musicals came back. So I would like to see one of the musicals that came out this year be actually nominated for something. So hopefully we can get some buzz around the what you call it the Color Purple.
Copy that. Copy that. So, in going down, and apologies, guys. Had a brief technical difficulty, but from what I understand, Spillman, you said that you have Brooks as your pick for a supporting actress. Um,
Yes.
Similar in the same way that I feel about Oppenheimer. I feel the same way here when it comes to Barbie, and in thinking along those lines, and trending towards the uh, same explanation that I had for Oppenheimer. I feel that America is going to take home the Oscar for Barbie. There has been so much surrounding the speech that she has in that film,
Hmm.
and what transpires with that character, and to be able, among all the all the spectacle that we've had with that film, with you know all the incredible actors and actresses that we have in that ensemble, and to be able to still leave your mark, and to be memorable among that huge ensemble of actors and actresses, is really a testament to her talent. So I actually have her taking away the Oscar in that category. But I do like your pick. I wouldn't be upset with Brooks winning. I out of all the musicals that we have, Color Purple is incredible, and what they were able to do cinematically, with that adaptation of the musical was incredible. So wouldn't be mad at Danielle taking home the Oscar, but in lieu of the points made about the momentum of some of the films that we have. Barbie is among those films that have that momentum, along with Oppenheimer. And considering what America was able to do, in the just within the confines of her role, and making it memorable among all the other facets and other spectacle that was a part of that movie. I have her taking it away. So, all right. So, getting into our animated feature film, I don't know, man. I feel like it's a toss up between two films. But I know for many of those of you out there, you guys are already picturing one film winning that award, and I understandably so. I get it. So with our nominees, we have The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and of course, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, Spillman, I already have a feeling of what film you're going to pick, in this category. So go ahead, see if you can surprise me.
I'm gonna go with Spider-Man, of course.
Of course.
I hate to say that, make mine Marvel. Love a good Spidey movie. Even though, what you realize is, uh, okay, yeah.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks again, Ray. He's a super contributor. We like to see the things that Ray do, and all of the fans. If you can please interact with the show, we like to see the comments. We like to see that you guys do things for us. Um, but yeah, I got Spidey, Into the Spider Verse, two or what? Yeah. Um, I was actually talking with some friends the other day, and we realized that the reason why we keep seeing so many Spider-Man movies is because they need to make them so they can contractually keep him in perpetuity. So we're going to be seeing a new Spider-Man movie every 5 years for the rest of our lives. So get ready for that, ladies and gentlemen.
For
Hopefully, they'll
sure.
be as good as this one.
For sure. And I'm glad you brought that point up, Ray, because one other facet that we see sometimes too is outside of instances where we have award shows have momentum with certain projects. What also tends to happen is we see a lot of actors that are getting all the other awards leading up to the Oscars, because there's a I there there is, I feel like, an idea that they may not win the Oscar. So to make up for the I've seen that kind of reverse happen too, which is really fascinating that you'll have people, just as you said, they're winning the Golden Globes, they're winning the SAG Awards, and people think that it's just uh, an assumption that they're just going to clean house for the entire award season, but they end up winning all of those awards leading up to the Oscars for the very fact that there is an idea that they may not win, or that it may not vote go in their favor when it comes to the Oscars, the Academy Awards. So but I do like that point, and that comment that you have there, because it brings up something else that we also see. All right, so getting into another category, as I said, we just and I didn't get into mine. I realized I didn't give mine. So among the films that we have here, the two films that I feel are have an opportunity of winning the Oscar. Um, I had a chance to see three of them. I haven't seen all of them, but at least of the three that I have seen, that being The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I do agree with you, Spielman, that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is a film that I still picture will take home that Oscar. However, I wouldn't be shocked if The Boy and the Heron steps in there to claim that award as well. It is also an incredible film. I don't know if you have seen that film either, but um, the just in picturing like the story, in the same way that we have with Spider-Man and Across the Spider-Verse, the animation, it's an incredible feat, what they were able to accomplish with this film. So outside of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I'm sure for many would be the favorite to win here, I do believe that The Boy and the Heron has a has an opportunity, has a chance to sneak in there and get the win. But if we're moving on, I'm assuming, Spill, you didn't have any other added comments there with our animated feature film. If we're going into cinematography, we have Killers of the Flower Moon. We have Il Conde, Maestro, and I apologize if I'm butchering there. But Oppenheimer, as well as Poor Things. With the cinematography that we have here, for me, among the films here, and let's see, I've seen four of the films here. That being Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. All incredible films, all incredible achievements of what they were able to do. But among those the four that I've seen, I would have to give the nod to Oppenheimer, of being able to capture what we are seeing on the screen, and how visceral it is in terms of what is shown on the screen. So I'm assuming, I know that you love the film Killers of the Flower Moon, Spillman. I'm assuming for you, Flower Moon should get the nod, but I don't know what your thoughts are on my pick. You muted, Chief. Let me see if we can unmute you. Hold on. Go ahead.
There you go. Okay, so I actually, for this
Yeah.
one, I'm gonna go with Oppenheimer. Um, Obviously, I love Killers of the Flower Moon. There's lots of great views of the Old West, or what is assumed to be the Old West in that. But I feel as though Oppenheimer was a tour de force this year, and it was also a very beautiful movie. And that's one thing that I hear a lot of people talk about, is how good it looks. So here, I actually, surprisingly, even though I love Killers of the Flower Moon, I think that really Oppenheimer is going to be the one that they use, that's going to win in this award, just because of some of the visual things that take place in the movie. I think Oppenheimer Obviously is the one of the two films of the year, but I feel as though that'll be it.
All right, cool, cool, cool. So we're not going to go through every single award, guys, but I did want to go through some of these last few, categories, creative categories. So I wanted to get into costume design. So the nominees that we have for the Oscar, we have uh, Barbie, we have Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Now, each of these films I feel are great accomplishments in terms of what they bring to the table. If we're talking about Barbie, of kind of bringing that I guess you can say that kind of I don't know how to explain it, but kind of that uh, larger than life component and I'm trying to provide a word here that I feel like fully captures Barbie. But I guess I can say I know I mentioned it before. Just that idea of spectacle and being able to really take advantage of color to establish that world of Barbie. Um, how that is utilized with the costumes, is quite effective. If we're talking about Killers of the Flower Moon, and I know you brought this up already, Spills, of talking about the setting, the costumes that we have on display in this film, gives a great feel for that time and place. Same goes for Napoleon, very much a period piece of being able to use a costume to illustrate a point of history. If we're talking about Oppenheimer, same thing. And then we'll pour things of having kind of this weird eccentric quality to the costumes and how it allows us to perceive the characters. There are so many different facets of what we have on display between all these nominees. However, if I was forced to pick among the choices that we have here, um, I would say it's a toss up. It's a neck and neck toss up between Barbie and Poor Things. What are your thoughts? Hold on one second.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I would say that Barbie is where I would go here. The costume designs in Barbie were fantastic. Like I said earlier, they had that S on in that movie. They definitely were dripped to the gods, and um, they really captured some of the things that Barbie itself, like I Brandon doesn't have this experience, but I have had a sister growing up. I have a sister to this day, obviously, but I remember when we would play with her toys and play with Barbies and stuff. They captured a lot of the costumes that Barbies had in the '90s and stuff, and I remember seeing the movie and being like, "Oh, I remember that Barbie. I remember this. I remember that." Like just because my sister had them. And other girls that I knew when I was younger had those things. So to see that they actually were able to um, put onto real women the some of the costumes and dresses and things that Barbie actually wore as a toy in that time was very refreshing, and I think that that was a great thing that they did. So to me, I think that Barbie hands down was the best costume design. Um, it feels a little patronizing to have Barbie win for best costume, but not be nominated for the two big things. But that's how the world be working sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. We're sad to see that it works that way, but it kind of just that's just the way it is, unfortunately. So we'll see how it goes. But I think Barbie to me, um, I don't know if you could hear me, but definitely the Barbies um, costume designs were they captured it in a way that it looked correct. Like even they had Margot Robbie in the classic. Like I think that's like a classic like Chanel type dress. Like because I remember the episode of The Simpsons, Marge had a similar dress on, and Barbie had that similar kind of look, and Like they really captured it. Like to me, I think they really did a good job with that movie. So um, that's my
Excellent.
2 cents on it. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna wrap this up. We're gonna wrap it up by getting into, because if we went into each of the categories, guys, we'd be here all day. But I want to, before we wrap up, get into directing. I want to get into uh, what is it? Best picture. Before we wrap things up. I mean, as I said, there are plenty of other categories to get into, and perhaps I haven't decided if I'm going to do it yet, but maybe I'll do a deep dive into it tomorrow. But with that being said, getting into the directing category, let me see if I can pull it up here. 1 second. All right. So if we're talking about our directing category, we have Anatomy of a Fall with Justine Triet, Killers of the Flower Moon, of course, Martin Scorsese, Oppenheimer with Christopher Nolan, Poor Things with, and I apologize if I'm butchering your name, but Yorgos Lanthimos, and Zone of Interest for Jonathan Glazer. So, with the categories that we have here, if we're talking about the nominees, again, shout out to each of the nominees that we have here. The only one that I have yet to see, or say the only ones that I'm still, and I'm gonna try to make it a point to see between today and the show. I feel like I'll be able to make it. Is I still need to check out Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest. But between Killers of the Flower Moon, if I were just to make the decision today between Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things, I would give the nod to Oppenheimer. Again, outside of the performances that you have among the ensemble, the direction that is on display of being able to, put all of that together into a package of what we see with Oppenheimer is an incredible, accomplishment with Christopher Nolan. Um, I feel like there may be some, naysayers that may, give the nod to Scorsese, and there's no slight against Scorsese, because Scorsese is an iconic director with so many films under his belt that are incredible. But if I had to choose between the three, I'm gonna have to give the nod to Nolan. What are your thoughts, Bill?
I think that, like you said, there be times where they'll give the best director to one director and the picture of the year to another. And I think
Okay.
since they're going to give picture of the year to Oppenheimer, I think that this will make the director, to me,
You feel like Scorsese is gonna
Scorsese,
get best director?
Scorsese, and it also again, I feel like Robert De Niro, they want to make sure that they give Scorsese his flowers before, you know, things
Before
may
he's no longer
happen
with
that.
us. I
Yeah,
got you.
I didn't know how to say that
I'll,
nicely,
I'll
ladies and gentlemen.
I got you.
But I'm pretty sure that this is the one that he's going to win. I think that he's won some for more of his art house stuff, and this is one of his more art house typey ones. It's not like pure just mob stuff like Goodfellas or some of those other films. But I just think that,
No, that's a great point.
um,
It is a
yeah,
change. It definitely is a change of pace from what we normally see him. What we've seen a lot in terms of his filmography. So we'll definitely see what ends up happening. But as you said, I can see I can see how that could be a possibility. Just to kind of make everyone happy. Just to, because I feel personally, if he were to win Best Director, it wouldn't be necessarily because of Killer of the Flower Moon, but I feel like they're giving it to him. So I think that's what you're trying to get at, is that they're going to give it to him for his overall body of work, of what he's continued to accomplish, in terms of his excellence with his filmography, the films that he's done, where he's been nominated so many times and hasn't received, wins for the number of nominations that he's received. Like it hasn't been balanced. But the fact that people still recognizing his
the achievement with each of those films is still testament to his abilities as a director. But I will say there have been years where he has been nominated, and I feel like he should have won. So, getting into one of the last few categories that we're going to talk about, I want to get into, let's see.
Let's do picture of the year. Let's get up out of here.
Yeah, picture of the year. So, if we're getting the picture of the year, the nominees that we have are, of course, American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and Zone of Interest. Now, I can't say, as I've mentioned in other categories, that I have seen every single film here. But again, if I were forced to make a decision, at least among the films that I have seen, that being American Fiction, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things, I would have to give the nod to Oppenheimer. Again, the achievement that is on display in, bringing that film to life, and uh, what we have on display with every facet of the film, whether it's with the ensemble that we have, whether it's with um, the technique that we have on display. We were just talking about the cinematography, all of those factors, being able to utilize all of those elements to put together an incredible film. I feel like you can't get any better with Christopher Nolan, with Oppenheimer. I know you have made your case, Spillman, for Killers of the Flower Moon, and I understand that, and I would even go as far to say even Maestro. What Bradley Cooper was able to do with Maestro. Not only uh, starring in it, but directing it. Is quite impressive. But I feel like Bradley, based off of what he was able to achieve with Maestro, will be back. So I don't think we need to worry about him not winning. And as you said, Spillman, perhaps we may see kind of what we've seen in prior years, with there being a split between our nominees, and maybe Scorsese will win for best directing, or vice versa. Maybe Christopher Nolan will win for best directing, and Scorsese will win for best picture. But I'm gonna have to go with Christopher Nolan, and producers Emma Thomas, Charles Roven, for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I think that this is Oppenheimer's best picture to
Year.
lose. Um, I just think that it's just them. I don't see how anyone else could. I just feel like this is their year. Um, I don't think that Christopher Nolan has won best picture yet. I think that he um, is due, as they say. I think that this is just the year for him. So we'll see. I think that
No, no. As I said, I feel like we'll definitely see. We'll definitely see. Um, so with that being said, we're gonna try to wrap it up here, because this Wi-Fi is not being cooperative with us. But with that being said, we're gonna wrap up this edition of This Week in Review. Oh my gosh, here we go. This Week in Review. This week in pop culture, y'all. It's
that's
just
right.
just an off day altogether. This week in pop culture. But I will punt it over to you, Spillman. Can you tell folks where they can find you?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 6 weeks since the Wizards won, so that will show you that no matter how much money you bet on the team, that does not mean that they're going to win for you. So I just want you to make sure that you are not spending all your money on gambling out here, ladies and gentlemen. It's not good. And I'm just so happy to hear from you. You can reach me at Truly Still on Instagram and check out some of the things that I put out there. Stay dry out there. It's more of a lion out today than a lamb, so the weather's kind of bad, but everything's nice. Back to you, Brandon. Oh, so Brandon's not here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna try to see if I can get some more of this screen animations going. I think if I do the hand, it gets my hand and it makes balloons. I don't remember, but Brandon's still
Well, while
buffering.
is figuring that out.
That's right. That's right. I'm doing. Oh, can't hear you.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. There we
There
go.
we go.
I'm your host,
There we go.
Brandon Choi, host and co-creator of Movies and Shakers Unlimited. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find me at Brandon Choi ENT on X, and of course Brandon Choi _ ENT on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there, guys, and see y'all soon. Peace. See if it comes up. Let's see if it comes up. No.